And this is the Munchie Corner. So today I'm going to make a seared tuna with black and white sesame seeds. And then I'm going to do a kale and butternut squash stir fry. And a little bit of Asian asparagus on the side as well. Step one, I'm going to trim my asparagus down just because I like to take the stems off and then cut everything even. And I usually only pick up asparagus when it's nice and thin like this. Throw away the excess here. So I'm going to hold that for later. And then I've already trimmed down my kale. Basically, I took all of the leaves and broke the stems off, so it's just those curly kale leaves as well. And then I have diced butternut squash. And I'm gonna mix in some diced red onion. And this is chili powder. And then I like to use pink Himalayan sea salt, freshly cracked. And then cracked black pepper as well. Take just a little bit of this minced garlic and add it into my butternut squash mixture. It's about a teaspoon. And now I'm just stirring the mixture of the butternut squash with the chili powder, the diced red onions, that salt, pepper, and then I added a little bit of minced garlic as well. I like olive oil for pretty much everything. I'm using an extra virgin olive oil here, just about a tablespoon of that. That goes in the mixture with the butternut squash. And I've turned my burner up to about medium high. You can see that. Give that just a second to heat up. And we're gonna use a little bit of sesame oil. And that's gonna go in all of our sides and the main dish today. So I'm gonna pour this into my saucepan here. And then I'm gonna turn the heat back down to about medium. I'll let that simmer. Do like they do on the shows. I wish you could smell it. I'm just gonna add a touch of water because when I add the kale, that water is gonna help the kale kind of shrivel down and soak up some of that flavor. So it's been simmering for just a little bit. I'm gonna add in my kale. And as it cooks, you'll notice the kale is gonna shrivel down a little bit. I don't normally cover it because I don't want it to shrink too much. I like to leave it open. Plus I'm gonna stir it a little bit too. And I can hear that sizzle just a little too high, so I'm gonna put it back on medium again. Let that cook. Now with kale, it should stay a bright green color. It should never turn brown. So just gotta keep an eye on it. I constantly stir and check on it. See, bright green, still pretty. Add in some more kale. And then just keep stirring. It's pretty much done at this state right here. Well, okay, so the kale is still going to be that bright green color. The butternut squash you can see is super soft, and you can tell the onions have cooked down a bit too. So that's pretty much all I'm doing. It's just a quick stir fry. Perfect. Come back to that. The next thing that we're gonna do is some asparagus. I've already trimmed it down. And in the pan, I'm gonna add a little bit of sesame oil, because again, we're keeping those Asian flavors. Just coat the pan a little bit. I'm gonna add in the asparagus. This is something else that you also wanna keep bright green and just quickly. So you're gonna see that it turns from like this, to me it's kind of a pale green color, almost chalky looking. As it cooks, it's gonna brighten up and be a really vibrant green. Add just a touch of garlic. I'm gonna add a little bit of soy sauce. Again, with the little sea salt, turning the heat down just a little bit. I'm gonna reach in here and get some tongs too. That way I can kind of help toss it a little bit. You see how it's turning that bright green color? That's exactly what we want. And I'm not going to cook this very long at all. Again, I just want that vibrant green color and to get those coated with the soy sauce and the garlic. So I'm probably going to cook it for just 2 to 3 minutes total. I think we're just at about 3 minutes right now. I'm about to take it off the heat. I'm just going to set it to the side because the next and last step that we're going to do is the seared tuna. And that's not going to take very long at all. We're going to get our pan really hot, and that should be in and out in about 5 minutes. The next thing, we're going to do sesame crusted ahi tuna. So I've got black and white sesame seeds here. And then I have a really nice cut of ahi tuna that's been sitting in some soy sauce and a little bit of salt as well. Remember, always do it with clean hands. The first thing I'll do is add just a dab of that sesame oil in the pan. While that's heating up, I'm just going to take the tuna and coat it in those sesame seeds. You want it to cover completely. We'll do the other side. I guess the last hour. It doesn't take a whole lot of time. And I'm sure if you wanted to really soak those flavors in there, you could marinate it all day if you wanted to. And I like to get all of the edges as well with the sesame seeds. So I'm just gonna rotate this steak around a little bit. Make sure I can totally put that. Alright. So we've got it completely coated with the sesame seeds now. And I'm just going to place that in the pan. Perfect. That's exactly what you want to hear. And I'm going to leave it on each side for about a minute. Let it do its thing. I'm going to move this tuna to the back eye and keep it on high just for a second. I need to go back and add a little bit of ginger to my asparagus, just a touch. I didn't want to leave that out because to me it's essential. A little bit of powdered ginger. And I'm gonna do a quick toss. Thankfully that pan is still super hot. Perfect. All right, now I can put that to the side. To rotate the tuna steak on its side. That way the sesame seeds that are all around also get toasted too. And this one is a pretty nice cut. Sometimes you kind of have to hold it because the tuna steak's not always cut flat. Now the idea, and I sure hope this works out, is when you cut it open, it should be really nice and vibrant pink in the middle. Let it sit on that side for just a little bit longer. And again, this whole time it's been on that high heat too, so I haven't changed that. Alright, just real quick, I wanted to go over that I'm switching my cutting boards. I use this for the vegetable, and I brought out a new cutting board, red for meats, so I don't want to cross-contaminate anything. So this is nice and clean for our meat when we get ready to slice it. Alright, so it's been about a minute and a half. I'm just going to flip this tuna steak over. Got it nice and toasted on one side. Let that sit for about another minute and a half to 2 minutes. And then we'll also do it all around the edges as well. So it takes some babysitting. And I'm just gonna set the tuna steak onto our cutting board and let that sit for a moment. With the asparagus. And then this is the butternut squash and kale mix with chili powder and red onion and a little bit of garlic. This might be one of the greenest plates I've cooked in a long time. Alright. A little bit more of that butternut squash on here. And I like to clean my plate up just a little bit. We've got everything else plated, our asparagus and the kale and butternut squash mix, seared tuna, and I'm just going to cut it at a little bit of an angle. It's got a nice crust on it from the toasted sesame. It's a little bit pink in the middle. Let's keep going here. There you go. Voila. So this is sesame crusted ahi seared tuna with Asian asparagus and butternut squash and kale stir fry. It's a really easy, simple meal. It probably took me about half an hour start to finish, and presented to you by Mobile Munchies. And this is the Munchie Corner.